Today, the country mourns as we mark 1 year since the murder of George Floyd at the hands of a Minneapolis police officer. Former officer Derek Chauvin killed this 46-year-old by kneeling on his neck and back for nearly 9.5 minutes. Floyd's only alleged crime was using a counterfeit $20 bill. His death sparked a global movement against police brutality, especially toward Black Americans. The Floyd family is meeting with President Biden at the White House today as Congress debates how to address police reform. CBS News Chief Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues shows us how Minneapolis is still grappling with Floyd's death a year later.
The intersection of 38th and Chicago has been transformed in the last year from bustling neighborhood corner to a solemn square of reflection as people from all over the world pay their respects. This is where George Floyd was killed. His final moments under the knee of a police officer caught on body and cell phone cameras as onlookers pleaded for Derek Chauvin to stop.
Is he breathing right now? Check his pulse.
The murder verdict last month brought relief to some, but Minneapolis resident April Foster says she still worries for her 15-year-old son.
So you saw George Floyd die, and you were thinking about your son.
I was thinking about my son. That could have been my son.
Over time, like right now, has that fear gone away?
To some degree, yes.
Minneapolis's mayor and the police chief have taken steps in the last year to address the concerns of residents who believe the police department should be reformed or defunded. Just last week, the mayor outlined policing proposals re-emphasized or introduced after George Floyd's death, banning neck restraints and chokeholds, and banning most no-knock warrants were among them.
Has enough changed? Has anything changed?
I think that all the change is still in progress.
City Council member Jeremiah Ellison.
There are a lot of emergencies in our city that don't necessarily require a police response and aren't made safer by the department that we have.
More people are turning to police now for help to reverse a deadly trend. According to crime figures for the beginning of the year, there was a 250% increase in gunshot victims across the city.
How do you weigh defunding the police when people need police help right now?
Yeah, well, activists have a right to call for whatever they think the city needs. You could say that having 4 armed officers go respond to a man who supposedly used a fake $20 bill probably doesn't require that level of armed response.
We still have work to do. And
today is April Foster's birthday, but she says she will spend part of the day reflecting on George Floyd.
I'm going to think about him and his life that he had, and he literally has changed the world.
Let's bring in Antjuan Seawright in Washington now. He is a CBS News political contributor and Democratic strategist. Hi, Antjuan. Great to see you. So you and your colleague Jessica Tarlov wrote an opinion piece in The Hill this morning where you argue little progress truly has been made in this past year, noting that accountability for officers like Derek Chauvin is not the same as justice. So, Antjuan, what will it take to see progress on addressing racial biases in policing?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Tanya. And on this day, our thoughts and prayers are with George Floyd family, but not just George Floyd, because George Floyd is a name on a laundry list of Black people who've been killed at the hands of law enforcement since his death. And I think we have to take all of that into consideration. So when we talk about no progress being made, that's because we have yet to see a piece of legislation at the federal level that perhaps could put prevention measures in place so we do not have to add to those names of that laundry list I talked about of people being killed at the hands of law enforcement. And it's very unfortunate because it's always taken big events to help move the needle in this country. That's kind of what the American experiment has been made of. Unfortunately, we're at this standstill because there's been this injection of partisan politics instead of trying to do the right thing for the American people. And Tanya, when I say the American people, we know that above 50% of the American people, that's Democrats and Republicans, think that we need to do something when it comes to policing reform at the federal level.
So talking about that federal level, as you know, congressional negotiators missed a deadline set by President Biden to come to a deal on police reform. But you've said you're not particularly concerned about the speed because you want something that moves the needle and not just something that checks a box. So, Antjuan, what would a bill that moves the needle look like?
Well, I think a bill that moves the needle is one that makes headway, not necessarily focuses on headlines. And that means doing the things that will prevent George Floyd, another George Floyd experience or experiment in this country, but also one that will do some real evaluation to a system in this country that needs evaluation. No one can argue that the criminal justice system, as well as the police system, the law enforcement system in this country, has overheated because it has not been mined, it has not been maintained as it should. And so I think this process that lawmakers are going through as they come up with a piece of legislation that hopefully Democrats and Republicans live with, and it will be signed by the president, I think we have to consider all the things into consideration because we may not have this opportunity again in my political lifetime to address this issue in a real way.
And Antjuan, our White House team reports that President Biden has taken a hands-off approach with this police reform bill, preferring to allow lawmakers to hash things out. Should he and his team, though, be more directly involved the way they are on infrastructure, if for no other reason than to show that it is a priority for his administration?
Well, I think what the president has demonstrated is not only this on his agenda, but it's also a priority for him. He's spoken loud and clear about his feelings in terms of getting something done, but he's also been around long enough to know that the legislative process has to play its way out. And as John Lewis would oftentimes remind me, we all have a role to play. Lawmakers have a role to play in getting a bill to his desk. And I think that's what he's allowing them to do, to play their role in making sure that we continue to make progress in this country. So I commend him for being a champion and speaking out, saying we need to get something done and doing what he can from where he sits. And now lawmakers, both in the House and the Senate, in particular the Senate, because that seems to be where we're stuck in the mud, can get us a bill that we all can live with, we all can be proud of. And then from there, work at the local level to implement necessary changes at the local level. Because, Tanya, it's one thing for things to happen upstream, but sometimes some of the more consequential things happen in this country when they're downstream at the state and local level. And I think that's where we have to shift our focus after we do something or if we do not do anything at the federal level.
Right. Well, you know, I want to look ahead because you have said, Antjuan, that black voters are the Democratic Party's most loyal voting bloc, and they certainly turned out for this president. But will the party pay a political price from these voters if it does not pass significant police reform while in control of the House, Senate, and presidency? Because, I mean, it is still, it's touch and go. As you know, the House has already passed a bill that, you know, looks like it will never go anywhere in the Senate. And it looks like it's going to be tough work for these three legislators to get a bill together that will satisfy everyone. So, Antjuan, if this doesn't go anywhere, will the Democrats pay a price?
Well, I think that's yet to be determined. But Tanya, as a 36-year-old black man from South Carolina, I see myself could have been in George Floyd's situation at any given time in my life. And so when I think about that and I think about the most consequential voting bloc in the country showed up in a handsome way to give Democrats a majority in the House and the Senate and now the presidency, I think there is some sort of obligation and responsibility to deliver on the promises made during the campaign season. And I think that's why you see lawmakers working so hard to reward the most loyal voting bloc in a generation. And I pray and hope that we get some meaningful legislation that we all can be proud of, and that black voters in particular can look at their lawmakers, look at their president, look at their vice president, and say our vote was worth it.
All right. Well, Antjuan Seawright, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.